Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Ariel. And we're still celebrating the new moon in Taurus that took place April 30th. Because it was a solar eclipse, it kicked off energy that will last 3 to 6 months. Yeah, we did a nice oracle card spread to bring in a lot of inspirational messages. So I'm going to be referencing those because, yeah, they're in effect for a while. All right. Now, we also have Mercury retrograde in Gemini. It went retrograde uh, May 10th. It's going to be retrograde through June 3rd. So we're going to do an oracle card spread today that's going to help us connect to that retrograde energy and help it work for us. It's how can we find ways to rejuvenate, but through a more reflective process, right? It's just sensitive, reflective. Retrograde energy just it just means, okay, let's be our more sensitive side. And I'll tell you, when I was shuffling cards popped out, and we even got two Pisces cards, which is the most sensitive energy in the whole zodiac. And that's kind of retrograde because it's the 12th house. There's a little retrograde energy with Pisces. It doesn't matter where you have it in your chart. It's going to be it's like it's watery. It's, oh, I feel this. And so it just, so that's maybe why Pisces is elevated during the retrograde, because they're like, let me tell you how it's done. It's okay. This is how you be. This is how you can be, reflective and sensitive and creative, right? It's very creative, it's very spiritual, any type of thing. And it's universal love. And it's the ability to dream and to seek the ideal, right? So these are all things that we can, explore. Now, okay, so but that new moon in Taurus spread, that means Taurus, yeah, you gotta, even though we're gonna go into Gemini in a couple of weeks, you're still needed. Yeah, you're still gotta. I like to say, okay, it's your turn. Step up to the plate. For those 3 to 6 months, Gemini Scorpios, you surfaced in that big 11 card spread we did. So yeah, you're needed. And now this is going to be, this spread that we're doing is good for the specifically for the retrograde. Okay, so we got some cards already, and to we're going to add to those. Yeah. And then I want to talk a little bit, I keep saying this, we run out of time. I want to say a little bit about Mars in Pisces, because Mars is action. It makes things happen. So we do want to know, okay, well, where is Mars in our chart? So look at your chart, find the cusp where Pisces is, because Mars is in Pisces. It is going to activate that area of experience. And we got the Pisces cards, and we got the retrograde energy. So all of that kind of complements each other and blends. So we want to work with that energy. Yeah, okay. And then I've got some examples. I'm going to try to do more examples of, okay, here's an example of somebody with, Scorpio, Gemini, just, oh, these people have both. I'm just going to try to do more examples because that helps. It helps me. So maybe that'll help some people. Okay. So, all right, a couple things. All right, let me say a couple things about the retrograde. Then we can talk about, because I know it's like hard to watch the news, man. It's like, yeah, I know. There's just so much going on. But we want to stay, I will say Jupiter popped out. And so we've got to stay hopeful. It's aspirational. And even Jupiter is in Pisces. We have just got to keep believing in that and saying, like, it's aspirational. Let's keep the hope alive. And even though we hear difficult information, we have to connect to that energy. Yeah, so that we believe we can make positive changes, and we have to focus on that that avenue. All right, so a couple things with Mercury retrograde. Yeah, so it is the RE energy. So you think of words that begin with RE. If you can RE it, you can do it in a way that means, of course, you can do anything you want. But when you do an RE word during a retrograde, that is an easier path to rejuvenation. That's what that means. That you might get a little more bang for your buck when you pursue that path, right? Because it's in alignment with the energy. So, we want to reflect, we want to relax maybe a little bit. We want to reconnect. Yeah, things like that. So we're gonna um we're going to do a very specific spread to try to connect with some very key RE words, right? Okay. And, with the, we picked two of the cards that were chosen for the 11th card, for the big 11th card spread for the new moon in Taurus. 12th house reversed, which is connected to Pisces, and the air. And I was even forgetting about the Mercury in retrograde in Gemini coming up. Gemini is air. And I was like, oh, well, we've got earth, we've got water. Okay. So secrets bubbling to the surface, the importance of communication. Right. So Gemini, Mercury loves to be in Gemini. So that is a bonus. But going retrograde, Gemini is the fastest energy when it comes to thoughts. Aries is just the fastest of doing. But Gemini is the fastest thinking. It's like one thought after another. Okay. And so Gemini does not like to be retrograde. So Mercury and Gemini, you're going to sort of double down on all your thoughts. You're going to be like, oh, okay. So journal, right, is always during any retrograde. Try to organize what you are thinking. When it is in an air sign, which is all mental, thoughts are things, okay? That's the air. Air is, you really want to uh, connect to your thoughts, organize them, because it's about communicating. And there is a refinement that can take place. Gemini is about ideas, right? So it's refine ideas, but it's connecting ideas. I like to say an idea chameleon in a really good way because it's mutable. You bend like a willow, but it's communication. So allow, you may believe what you believe and you have, but allow debate, allow communication where you may find a new way to get your point across, right? Like you think, I'm going to rethink how I'm going to express myself. And then allow, just, okay, well, let me rethink this person's opinion. Maybe we can reframe it. Yeah, let's reframe it. And that reminds me of a Marilyn Monroe. She was Gemini. And then there was that uh, show where it was like reframing. It's like you want to take another look at something during a retrograde. Okay. And with the Gemini communication, it's all through connections that you may have missed. But it's not just connecting, like putting things together, which it is, but it's also, it's finding a way to really make a connection to another soul, even though it is considered detached mental. So sometimes like Geminis are accused of like, oh, did you feel that? You just said something really big, but oh, where's like, we got all the Pisces water. Where's the feeling, Where's the water behind that? Okay. But to an air sign or to a Gemini, a thought is a thing. If you can articulate and say it, it's very meaningful and it becomes real. So Geminis can be like, let's make those connections. And by talking to each other, and, that is a form of connection. So, these are things to be thinking of. And, things of messaging, you may reframe messaging. And I always think of, well, a couple of things. So, Bill Maher's always talking about, Democrats need to work on their message. Okay. It's like we come up with things like defund the police and things where people just like, what? Oh my God, And then Republicans, they have great messaging. It's like right to life, right to work. I mean, you're going to really argue with that. Like that messaging is like, yeah, okay. But we're like, defund the police. And so, so we have to think about, and then Paul Bagala was on this week, and I wrote down he was like factory floor to the factory lounge. The Democrats used to be, very practical, common man, factory floor, what was going on, and now it's like the factory lounge, a little more esoteric, and it's like so. Gemini, Mercury retrograde. Let's really rethink. Okay, we're not getting our message across. Let's refine, reframe. You ask yourself, well, why am I not? And let's try to rethink and try to convey. You don't have to, try to convey that message in a new way through words, through the words we use through communication. Okay, so that's kind of the, idea. And it made me think of a wonderful interview I think about a lot, Lisa Desjardins, and she's with the PBS NewsHour, and she it was so meaningful, January 6th, because that's in the news still, right? And it was people died, and she interviewed Harry Dunn, and it was like so moving. His interview will stay with me forever, and it's like, so we need to, like, when you say something like defund it's like we need subtlety, we need nuance, we need duality, we need all of that in our messaging, because then you lose people big time. Okay. So, but it's okay to be an idea chameleon in that you need to try some things on, like, oh, is this dress going to fit me? Well, you got to try it on. Oh, yeah, no, this doesn't at all. And then sometimes you put something on, you're like, wow, this looks great. I never thought I could wear this, you know? So it's that kind of thing. You don't know until you try. You got to try. You got to, like, yeah. So that's kind of what we can be doing. Okay. And, let's highlight, because not only is Mercury retrograde in Gemini, but Gemini was pulled for this special new moon spread that's good for 3 to 6 months. So let's highlight a couple of Geminis. I just wrote down, Russell Brand has is as Gemini, and he's got his podcast, and I love this. He says, together, I've quoted him before with this, but I was going through my notes and I'm like, oh, I like this. Together we can awaken, together we can ascend, together we can come up with some new ideas. See, ideas. He's an idea man. He is that Gemini. So that's the kind of thing of, like, think about that. And Amy Klobuchar, double Gemini, Sun, Moon in Gemini. She's been in the news a lot this last week, and we had the two Amy's. Well, you know what? All right, let me switch a little bit to the serious abortion thing, and then I'll say a little bit more about the retrograde. So serious, this Roe v. Wade and all of that. Okay. But a couple of things. Okay. I mean, everything's been said about it. I'm just going to say a couple of things that I feel haven't really come up too much. So, they showed clips, the two Amy's. Okay. So Senator Amy Klobuchar I think, just asked the most amazing questions. Okay. Kamala Harris asked great questions too. She's Gemini rising. Okay. So sometimes you get duality in the question, right? And they showed her talking to Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Okay. And then Amy Coney Barrett gave such a specific, honest answer. And there was a lot of talk this week about, oh, these justices lied and all that. But when you look at the two Amy's, it's a great example of a perfect question was asked. And I think the Justice Barrett gave a perfect answer, which was true. And then you see Kate McKinnon on SNL. She did an impersonation of the justice, and it was like, oh, well, what do you think of, what did you do this week? Or what do you think? And she said, I did exactly what I said I was going to do, And it was like, but that there's something that we can't just criticize somebody for having a belief. It's like, we have to say, okay, uh, it's like, yeah, she did what she said she was going to do. So there should be no shock, and there's no shock and awe with this. Okay. It's like there was honesty there, and we have to, we've lost respect for people who are like, who mean what they say. Okay. So anyway, I just thought the duality, it's so Gemini, right? The two Amy's and a very nuanced question and nuanced answer. And that encapsulates why Gemini energy is elevated right now, why we need it, because we got to start thinking like that. It's saying that maybe that's been missing from projects and relationships. So that's the kind of energy we need. And it's also in a Mercury retrograde in Gemini. It's further elevated. So that was just a good example of that. Now, a bigger problem, which, they've also talked about, but, the problem with, when you make these things illegal, I think a prohibition, right? It's like people are going to drink that, women will have abortions, right? People are going to drink. And what happens then is, I think of the Cori Bush quote. I mean, it's, it's expensive to be low wealth, and that the people who suffer, are the disenfranchised, because if you're rich, yeah, you'll just fly to whatever country's available. You can just, you have money, you can do things, you can go to a different place. So, it's really complicated. And, my grandmother was a nurse in Chicago in the 1920s. And, and she said boys went blind during Prohibition. Boys lost their eyesight because they used alcohol that wasn't really, wasn't the alcohol you can drink, and they were so desperate to get the alcohol, so, you know, that's another problem. We have to then really say, okay, we got to focus on what can we do for low wealth individuals to even the playing field, right? It's like that to me, everybody's talking about, okay, my body, my this, and my big question is, how do we do that? Because that is going to change everything. That is the issue. So anyway, okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about. Oh yeah, one other thing that I thought was one of the most unusual facts to surface for me was an interview with, okay, John Yang interviewed Michelle Goodwin, and she's, oh, glasses, okay, and she's University of California, Irvine, okay, and she was just bringing in there's an element of race that I didn't realize was behind some of the abortion laws, that back apparently in the Civil War things were, that it was allowed and then it wasn't because they wanted white women to have babies, and it was just I just thought, okay, you know what, there's always an angle. It's like so complicated, and it just reminds me of the historical perspective, and that whenever faced with something like this, you got to do your research, and there's just so much information, right? So I felt like there's a lot of amazing information bubbling to the surface about this very complicated topic. But yeah, attention must be paid to the disenfranchised always. Yeah. So then whatever help we can, yeah. And that's Arthur Miller, Linda Lohman, Willie Lohman, that's that. But that's has to be that's a bigger issue, isn't it? Okay, so we'll talk about that. Now, okay. You know what? I think I'll just do, just to do a little, okay, let me just throw in a little bit of Mars and Pisces, and then we're going to do the spread, and then we'll talk about some other things. Okay, now, let's see. Okay, so Mars and Pisces, I think I've said universal love, connectivity, we're part of a group. Okay. I thought of a play by J.B. Priestley, Dangerous Corner. Dangerous Corners, Dangerous Corner. I should have looked it up. Could be. Anyway, this is the point, that our actions, every action we take has a consequence much bigger than we realize. And we have to really think about when someone asks us for help, when we deny them help, what does that really mean? Right? And if you look at that, read that play, go see it and read it, okay, and you will see that something horrible happened to somebody, a character in that play. And when everybody got together, they're like, oh, you know what? She asked this, and I said no. Oh yeah, then she came to me, and I said, oh yeah, and then none of us did anything, and then something horrible happened. And those are the dangerous corners in life. And so Mars and Pisces is, you cut yourself, I bleed. Okay. So, hey, Pisces double down. We got 2 Pisces. We really need Pisces right now to remind us of this. Okay. Because people can't get hurt if we really, nobody would ever be hurt if we really at all times resonated to the highest manifestation of Piscean energy. Okay. So Mars is in Pisces, Jupiter's in Pisces, but this means actions. We need to take Piscean actions to be in the, we always want to go, yeah, Pisces, yeah, you can be a con man with Pisces. It's full of deception. There are no boundaries. It's amorphous. I'm talking about high level. Okay. So think about that. When somebody asks you for help and you deny them help, where are they going to go? What happens to them? Because you have now contributed to their narrative in not a great way. Yeah. So these are questions to think about. Okay. I'm not saying you got to be a martyr, or you got to like lay down your life for, that's, you know what I mean, within reason. But what I'm saying is that if you can do something to help someone, then you need to do it. Right. Because if you don't, yeah. You become part of the wrong kind of narrative. Okay, so that's Mars in Pisces. Find out what house that's on. Remember, each house is an area of experience, and there's going to be a little more energy in that house for you. But our actions influence others. That's Mars in Pisces. And I saw, a couple of, you know what? I have a few examples. Okay, so let me just, I might as well just share these, and then, because then we'll do the spread, because I don't have a spread for this one. I don't have an Oracle card spread. I saw what Naomi Osaka, tennis player, Connie Chung. I grew up with her, and they were just talking about how well, Naomi Osaka specifically said she consciously wants to make things easier for people who come behind her, and Connie Chung was saying, oh my gosh, there are all these children named Connie now. And I remember I have one of my best friends from grad school. She is Asian, and she was like, oh, Connie Chung, even though it didn't last very long, when she started working with Dan Ruther, I mean, my friend, it changed her life. She was like, oh my God, it's because she saw someone who looked like her have that job, and she thought, wow. So it's, this is another thing. This is like a Piscean, ways to bring us together. All right. And, you know, and being aware of our actions influence others, right? Yeah. Okay. And I think Naomi Osaka was saying she was criticized for maybe showing too much emotion. And I don't know everything about tennis, so I wasn't aware of all of that, but these are things, okay? These are Piscean things. Oh yeah, okay. Mark Esper, he's been on the news. He was saying, if good people don't do hard things, then that just leaves the bad people. It's like doing something. So it's like, that's also a Mars in Pisces. It's like, we gotta sometimes do something that is going to connect us, even if it's not. And that's a Gemini is connected to Pisces that way. It's a different way to connect. It's a different way to connect. Okay. I hope I have this right. I think Mark Brzezinski is the ambassador to Poland. I'm going to have to check that. But okay, people are used as weapons. And he was talking about how refugees are used as weapons in a way. And that, this is Piscean of like helping people to assimilate. We need to help anytime there's a refugee or like refugees from Ukraine into Poland, Romania, all the places they're going. Okay. We need to help immigrants assimilate, to help refugees assimilate. Like that assimilation is a very Piscean idea of how can we all come together, right? So anyway, I thought of these things because I like to try to describe, well, what does that mean? What is the Piscean action? I've already talked about their creative actions, their musical actions. I have a whole thing on music that is, you can go to my YouTube, you can go to Heather Ariel's House of Astrology. All my social medias is under that. And Facebook and you can, and Instagram, and then you can check that out and you can see the music, the dance, the creativity. Okay. But on a deeper level, because it's been a really profound week of very intense things going on, I thought, well, these are some other ideas for Piscean actions, right? So you get the whole picture. Let's get the whole picture. Okay, so now, all right, now, okay, so all right, so let's go ahead and I'll share some more of these cards. We're going to start the Mercury retrograde. And then there was something so wonderful and uplifting, the correspondence dinner that was so, I loved it. I don't know who saw it. People forgot, it was like so much is going on, but we'll talk about that because there's a lot to celebrate and we have to focus on that because then that allows us to keep making things better. Otherwise, we give up and nothing gets better ever. All right. So hello, Pisces. Yeah, we need that. We also, Aries surfaced. Okay, Aries is back in play, the fastest energy, and that gives a little spark. Okay, that gives a little spark to things. All right. And then I was so happy to see this. We got the sun a couple of times. The sun is transparency, is illumination. And this is a path to regeneration, rejuvenation is to be transparent, to illuminate, right? And the sun is a disinfectant. So Yeah. So this is also very, very important. And this complements a 12th house reversed because secrets can bubble to the surface. And then we've got Jupiter, which is healing. Now, for the new moon spread, which is still good for several months, we got the recovery. So there's still a lot of recovery in the group. And remember, you're part, if you're listening or watching this video or listening to me on Beacon of Light Radio, then or watching me on my YouTube, okay, you're part of Through the Lens of Astrology group. Doesn't matter how you're getting this message, you become part of the group. And these messages are for you as they are for me. Okay, so we still got a lot of recovery and healing in the group, but this is hope. This is also saying, what is the message to connect to believe, right? And also, this is big picture energy. Jupiter is big picture. Yeah, so we got to have the hope. This, we got an angle. We got an angle, and I'm putting up a video on angles. How I always say, you got to, follow transits and progressions, because when they activate an angle, an ascendant, a midheaven, okay, it's a really big deal. Midheaven, ascendant, things happen. All right, a descendant, yeah, all of it. So midheaven, this is uh, who are you on a professional level? Not how you make money, but who are you? You know, it's like, how do you see yourself? Right? Yeah. And it's like a career. It's also, if you're married, it's a public relationship that people know about. It's not a secret one. It's like, oh yeah, they're together. Okay. It's what's going on with your parents or mentors. Yeah, so it's public information. So this is a blessing. This means focus on this area. Use some of the reflection and reframe if you need to, reconnect to all of these areas, right? You may be feeling really hopeless. This is saying, because this is a Mercury retrograde spread, right? So this means we need to reconnect to optimism and hope and transparency. And we need to reconnect to the compassion and universal love and all of the creativity and sensitivity. Yeah. And we got to actually do something. Aries is like, yeah, we can't just feel, or we can't just think. We actually have to take actions. And this is fearless. Remember, Aries is fearless. It's pioneering. Yeah, it's fiery. It's very strong. Okay. And remember, this energy is in addition to what we pulled. Okay. And this energy, especially, is going to be for 3 weeks during the Mercury retrograde and the new moon for a little bit longer. So, okay. So I'm going to pick some cards. And then, since I do like to shuffle, I'll try this out. I'll look at some of my notes for. Oh, yeah. Okay. So many. I talk about freedom of speech all the time, right? That's very dear to my heart because I'm also a writer, and I talked about this. I mean, art is an expression of one's soul. So if you ban art, if you burn art or ban art, you're burning someone's soul, in my opinion. You have to be very careful. Okay, so I'm like, yeah, and that was. I mean, think about it. President Biden's got that great Sag ascendant and great sense of humor. And so he's like, yeah, uh, it's like embraces that is the ascendant of the US. That's the freedom of speech. And Trevor Noah was joking, saying, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go to jail because he was the comedian that was chosen this year. But he said something very meaningful at the end of it. He just said this, and it was almost it was awe. He was in awe of the potential for what the US can do. It was like, this is amazing that I can sit up here and roast the president, right? And I'm not going to go to jail. And we forget how important that is. And that's why we have to really, oh yeah, fight. Aries is fighting. Aries means we got to fight for things, right? Not with people. We got to fight for people. Okay. So, and that was a big message of the correspondence dinner of, we have to fight for the right to be free and freedom of speech and all things that fall under that. So there was a very serious underpinning to all of that I thought was really moving, and it brought up really good issues of Something that then uh, John Dickerson talked about. John Dickerson on CBS Sunday Morning. He was talking about Bob Dylan, and that Bob Dylan in the 1960s, he played an electric guitar at a folk concert and got into a lot of trouble among his peer group of how dare you? How dare you express yourself with an electric guitar at a folk concert? Not allowed to do that. Okay. And it brought up questions of, as John Dickerson said, John Dickerson, I'm not saying the name right, who gets to speak the truth? And how do we get to speak it? These are fundamental questions to ask, especially in this country. And, these are things that, we have to continually ask and try to answer. And in a Mercury retrograde in Gemini, let's debate in a real nuanced way. But it's really important that the sun is the truth, because the sun is transparency. Okay, that's why the sun is the truth. So, and secrets bubbling to the surface. So we need to allow the truth. Yeah, always. But, and new ways to do things. That's also Aries. Allow for saying, oh, what if we do this? Well, what if we do that? Okay. You can combine a Mercury retrograde in Gemini with Aries, and all of a sudden you find a new way to do something. And then the Pisces can make sure that we're all going to work together seamlessly. Yeah. So there are a lot of things to think of. And oh yeah, Gail King was at the correspondence, and yeah, she talked about some. I have to get the names of those. I have to look, before I talk about the people she talked about, because I didn't know about them. I need to know more about them, but that's important. Okay. All right. So let's pick. Let's pick a card. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Let's pick a card to say, this is an area of reflection. This is going to inspire us to say, let's reflect on this area. And then the cards that I already talked about will contain all of those elements. Yeah. So whenever you're doing a spread, as cards pop out, you take them, and then because we were going to do a Mercury retrograde spread today, I'm viewing these messages through the retrograde energy. Yeah. And we still move ahead. Some people think, oh, a retrograde. Oh, I'm frozen. I'm paralyzed. No. You move ahead. It's how. It's just, it said, okay, we'll move ahead in a more sensitive way. Make sure you have time to reflect. It's things like that. It's how can we grow? That's what astrology is all about. How do we grow and transform? And I can't wait to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because two of my favorites, this is the total non sequitur, but Dolly Parton and Eminem are going to be honored. Oh my God, they're going to be part of the Hall of Fame. They're two of my all-time favorites. I have eclectic taste, but I talk about all the time. Music is so important. It transmutes. So you can check out a video. I talk about how does music, especially, it's a way to help us transmute our energy, and especially maneuver through transitional energy. And it's good for a retrograde too. Anytime I love to use it, and that's what I do. Okay. All right, here we go. Area to reflect. Oh my gosh. Mars. This is an area to reflect. Okay, well, Mars in Pisces is kind of like a Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde. We got to reflect on how we take action. Mars is action. We have to reflect on our tempers, on our anger, right? I've had some things. I've had a lot more anger in my life over these last few months than I have. I have to meditate to transmute. I have to listen to music. I have to meditate and listen to music. Um, Otherwise, yeah, my anger does not dissipate so quickly. So, Mars, let's reflect on how do we take action. Let's try to, you know, we want to be fearless and take positive action, but then um, we want to, yeah, it's like with the anger, we can overdo it. Are we assertive or are we aggressive? This is also a physical card. We have to reflect on how are we taking care of our physical bodies. Mars is health. Okay. And this is exercise this way too. So maybe think about, what is your exercise routine? You know, you might want to refine, like either try, you know, just alter it, refine it, say, are you getting the results? Sometimes when you do the same routine, you're like, well, my body's used to that. So maybe you need to add weights or do something like that. Refine your physical routine as well. Okie dokie. Okay, now, okay, that's reconnection. All right, we're going to go with reconnection for the second one. Okay, this is an area that will help us reconnect. I do want to highlight Scorpio Gemini because that's such a big deal with, and I've talked a lot about the Pisces with the 3 to 6 months. Okay, here we go. Let's embrace this area and we'll reconnect. Unbelievable. We got Jupiter. We got 2 Jupiters. We're going to reconnect. That's kind of like what I just said, with the Jupiter. That's why I described the Jupiter that way, because it's seen through the eyes of this. We need to reconnect to our hope. We need to reconnect to optimism. We need to reconnect to abundance, and abundance in all ways, right? Oh my gosh. And we need to reconnect to big picture. And guess what? Jupiter is tolerance. Jupiter is connected to Sagittarius. It's connected to tolerance and how being around people and things that are different, from you enriches you. That's what Jupiter and Sagittarius says. Learn something, learn a different language, learn a different culture. Be around people who are different, and you will learn more about who you are and what it is to be a human being. Okay? That's the lesson that Jupiter and Sag offers, if you choose to sign up for that. So, okay, this is a double message. This is a double message. Okay. All right. And okay, so let me see if I can see this. Oh, reignite. Okay. This is going to be an area where it will behoove us to reignite. Yeah. Okay. And I just to talk about while I'm shuffling for this, a Scorpio. Okay. Bill Gates, big time Scorpio, and he's been in the news. I saw him a couple places, and um, I just saw him on Trevor Noah. Even I saw that episode twice. He just played that again. But anyway, okay, he wants to prevent the next pandemic. So he has a book about it, and he talks about the importance of sharing data, global cooperation. It's called he's the bill, Global Epidemic Response, and I'm just going to remember because I can't read that, mobilization bill. That's what it's called. Okay. So, but Trevor Noah was saying, okay, you're the computer guy. Why should we listen to you about this? Because he's asking, a great interviewer asks what the audience is asking, right? And it's brought up a couple of things. And Bill Gates was like, well, this is what I'm doing now, and I've researched it and I know, and it's very Scorpio, that Scorpio, you have the power, because we're elevating Scorpio energy, right? Because of that. The power to research something thoroughly, and you must connect to your passion. And when you connect to your passion, you can do anything, and you can learn about something completely different. People are like, oh, now you're doing what? Scorpio is transformation. And so that's why Scorpios can sometimes appear to have several different lives. They have these several, like, oh, what are you doing now? Oh, you used to do that, really? When you really connect to your Scorpio energy, so if we're elevating that, connect to your passion is a step that may be missing. Do research, okay? And then what you create will transform not only you, but everyone around you. So I thought that was a good example of a Scorpio strength and transformation. And I have I wrote down some people because it's like some Scorpios. Well, I mean, obviously I'm talking about the president. Yeah, Scorpio. And then, oh yeah, so Joaquin Phoenix, a great actor, and it's just like he's Scorpio energy, and then Phoenix is in his name, and the Phoenix rising from the ashes. And Hillary Clinton, I talk about a lot. So let's think about, those energies are elevated now, if you follow the program and follow the inspirational messages. Otherwise, okay. Okie dokie. Let's reignite. Let's reignite. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is very powerful. We got the fire card. Guess what? We got it reversed. In a retrograde, you know what that means? It means we are exhausted. Some of us in the group. I actually feel exhausted. Okay. We have to reignite. So this is a perfect card. Now, fire reverse can be very tricky in a non-retrograde oracle spread. This is so for a retrograde, what do we need to reignite? We need to reignite our fire. We need to reignite. So to think that we can do something, right? This means we're burned out, right? We're a little, so okay, we're gonna reignite. Oh my gosh, our fire. We have Mars and Aries is fire. So you know what? The Aries is the fire. You're gonna have to step up to the plate and okay, light the match under people. That's your job. Okay. Sag is fire. We got Sag, right? With Jupiter. That's really been. But hey, if you got Leo, you're a fire. You can step, you got to help reignite. But the Aries and Sag has been called two Jupiters in that. Will you please help everyone around you reignite their fire? People are like, we got to restore our health, restore our mojo. Okay. All right. I resonate with these a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now, here's an area where we need to refine, or yeah, it will benefit us to refine. Let's refine this area. Okay. And let's see. Oh yeah, some more people. Oh yeah, Julia Roberts is. I was trying to write down Scorpios. Yeah, Julia Roberts is Scorpio. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I've got. Oh, I wrote down O, and I'm like, what? Oh, I think I was going to write down Owen Wilson, and then I just got distracted. He's Scorpio. And Maggie Gyllenhaal, I've got to watch her. She has a new movie, but I love her. You really see her resonating. Look at her work. She really resonates to her Scorpio energy. You can watch Secretary. You can watch. I mean, she really deals with intense Scorpio transformative themes. She does not shy away from that. Yeah, she does not shy away from that. Okay. Yeah, I bring these up because then when you watch their work or you just get a sense. And then people are like, oh, but aren't Scorpios like the piercing eyes? But no, they can be very like fair, blue-eyed blonde or dark. It's like you tend to like get Scorpios is of extremes. I've talked about this. So sometimes you get like they're very, very fair or they're very like intense. So anyway. Okay. Now. All right. Here we go. An area to refine. Okay. Oh yeah, Stevie Nicks to add to the Gemini. Excellent communication. Read anything she's written. Poetry. Her songs are poetry. Okay, let's refine this area. Okay. Oh. Water. Oh my gosh. Okay. Water. Oh my gosh. Okay. Water is feeling. Okay. So, all right, if we need to refine this element, we need to one, connect to our feelings. But think about this in a Mercury retrograde in Gemini. This is about how do we communicate what we feel. Okay. So let's refine. So, first of all, articulate what you feel. And then you may want to refine. So think about, well, maybe you've been, because if we feel too much, then we start, oh, but I want this, or oh, you don't love me, or like, it's like it gets to be like you can't even hear what somebody's saying because there's so much emotion behind it. Water is emotion, it's feeling. Okay, so with Mercury retrograde in Gemini, let's refine
You're not going to change your feelings. You're not going to pretend to feel something you're not, but you need to verbalize, articulate. So then you can say, yeah, that tone is not working with that person. All right. I'm going to try this way. This is what I feel. Okay. But now find different ways to say it because the way you've been saying it is not getting the message across. All right. Because maybe you've been saying it with too much anger or fear, or, there's all kinds of ways. So connect to your feelings and make sure that you are precisely articulating them. That's how I would interpret this card in a Mercury retrograde and Gemini spread. Okay. All right. We got another card. Okay. We want a path to rejuvenation, right? Yeah, that's what we really want. So if we embrace all these messages, we will, yeah, it will lead it, the path will be to rejuvenation, regeneration. Okay, I need that path. So okay, so let's pick a card. And we're still highlighting, yeah, Taurians. Okay. Yeah, oh, Ashley Judd. She's got a combination of Aries, Taurus. We picked Aries and she's got both of that. My heart's been with her this week. But she's a true pioneer and she's got both of those qualities. And that's an Aries. I'm talking about that's what if you have Aries in your chart, you're not afraid to do something, to step and say, hey, well, I'll do it. None of you, no one else going to do it. All right, I'll do it. And she spoke out during the Me Too. She was so that's why we need Aries because everybody else is like they get afraid and the Aries is like, fine, I'll do it. It's like so that's why we need the Aries. Okay, get the ball rolling. Okay. And then, it's like you look at, because, I'm in, look, I write, I have a theater background. So maybe I watch a lot of things like that. So I talk about characters and actors because it's like it's what I do. But um, you can watch, if you want to understand Aries, Taurus, watch Charlie Chaplin, the movie Charlie Chaplin with, what was it called? With Robert Downey Jr. He channeled that part. And I looked up both of their charts and they both have Aries and Taurus. And you can see the Taurus is like so grounded and there, and the Aries is just a bottle rocket, just, you know? So, yeah. So those are examples. Yeah, those are examples of that. Okay, let's get the path to regeneration. Oh yeah, then I also wrote down, I made some notes because since Scorpio and Gemini was elevated last time for so long, and those are an inconjunct. And a lot of people are like, well, how are those going to get along? And I thought, well, let me bring up a couple of people who have both of those in their chart, because then you can think about that. You can think about Matthew McConaughey. I thought he's a good example because he not only acts, but he's often talking, he's written a book. He's you hear his ideas, and so the ideas, Gemini, excellent communication, but Scorpio is like, what are you going to be talking about? And there's a real intense passion connected to the communication. And then I was just flipping channels yesterday and Clint Eastwood came up and I was like, oh my gosh, he's got that combination and he is so intense. And yet, um, the communication, there's a lot of communication, but it is really got an intense to it. But there's huge ideas and Scorpio themes to a lot of his movies. One of my all-time favorite movies, um, Mystic. My God, I thought of Mystic Pizza. That's great. Mystic River is a series. Mystic River. Okay, and it's based on a wonderful book. And I'd say everybody watch that movie. It's really deals with Scorpio themes of sexual abuse in a way that just will blow your mind. Okay. Okay, let's do a path to rejuvenation. Okay, path to rejuvenation. Okay. Oh, I think. Okay. Oh man. Oh my gosh. Okay. Second house reverse. Okay. This is a beautiful card. Oh my gosh, this says we need, yeah, don't forget we need the Taurians, right? We need the we've this is a Taurus. This is Taurus energy. This is values, all right? The second house is, we do not, it's like, yes, we're going to embrace all of the Taurian blessings, the earthly blessings, but we have to remember what's really important. And this is the house of values. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's like, I know I say it too many times, but like Mika Brzezinski has her whole brand is valuing people. So this is about values. This is about confidence. Okay. Confidence code, Caddy K. We have to believe. How can we rejuvenate? We have to believe in ourselves. We have to connect to our values. And then in a Mercury retrograde, we have to communicate our values, but then we have to enter into a debate because Jupiter says we have different values, right? We have different, and yes, know your values, but we have to be tolerant of someone else's. And that is how we're going to rejuvenate. And says also don't become so overly attached to possessions and things, right? Because they're just things. And we need to remember what's important, our soul, right? And Pisces is the soul. Pisces is very much soul energy, right? So let's remember the dangerous corners. Yeah. And we don't want to take dangerous corners out of greed. We don't want to take a dangerous corner because we want a thing or money, you know. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Now, oh yeah, Nicole Kidman I talk about, she has that. You see a real complication of, you see very complicated energy when you see that interject. When you see the inconjunct, it's almost as if you can't even believe there's such a high level of articulation, which the Gemini, the person can sometimes appear detached and overly intellectual. And then it's like the passion comes in, and you're like, you know, or it's like they're really connected to the Scorpio and it's like this intensity. And then we're like, oh my gosh, they're so articulate. Where is that from? And I was trying to remember, yeah, I was trying to think. I know these are all actors. I'm going to look up more politicians and things, but I think Natalie Portman contains that energy. And I think maybe Chris Evans does. I looked up and has that. You can watch performances. It will come, and then you watch interviews, and we are our energy. So, that energy is needed right now for the group. We've got to steps are missing. Okay. And of course, the Taurus, because it's the new moon. And so for this, well, Aries got a little break. Well, yeah, break's over for you. Okay. Oh, okay. What was I picking? Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. I'm picking a couple of cards for our president and vice president. Look, I love it. Okay. When we get the Libra, that's Kamala Harris's card. Isn't that something? Okay. All right. So Libra is balance, right? It complements the air. So the Gemini duality, right? So it's balance, it's grace, it's elegance. Okay. It's, Eminem. Hey, Eminem's Libra. I talked about him today. But it's justice. It's it's fighting for, not being afraid to fight for justice. And like he knelt, in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. I'll never forget that. It's like at the football, at the Super Bowl. That's, so even if a Libra, you feel like, well, ooh, he's kind of intense and angry and he swears a lot and everything. But there's you must have justice. There must be equality, and you are willing to fight for it. So you see that with that is an expression of Libra energy. It doesn't mean you know, you're going to be an interior designer, okay. Everything's great and beautiful. Then you get into, I know, I just saw Gwyneth Paltrow, and that is like excellent taste. Like that's very Libra of I'll tell you what's nice. Okay, let's pick another card for the dynamic duo. Yeah, yep. Okay. Probably got in trouble for saying that. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, and then a couple of other things. Oh, I know I wanted to say because I didn't get to say. Um, oh, okay, because I had talked about at one point Neptune square. So just to throw, yeah, just to throw this in the ring. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, all right. He is Sagittarius sun, and just like our governor here in Kentucky, Andy Bashir. Great, we have such a great governor. Okay. He's Sag. So one thing to keep in mind, he won, but it was kind of like, oh, is he gonna win? And then David Miliband said, I think on Fareed Zakaria, he will be an activist president at this point because people are saying, well, Macron's kind of haughty. I don't know what the problem is. This is a good example. He's beginning a Neptune square to his sun, so he may have been like, "Oh, I have competition. What? This is what's going on here." So he won because it's not exact. But my advice to anybody under that, because it's perfecting, do not underestimate your opponent. He needs to be an activist president as long as he doesn't underestimate his opponent. And it just reminded me of like what's going on when you have that as it perfects, you can win, but often people don't because they underestimate their opponent. Okay. Yeah. So that's what it means. You don't give up, you can win, but boy, you've got to be like, oh yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? Yeah, what are you doing? You got to do that. Yeah. Yeah. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's and like don't take your eyes off the prize. Yeah, once you catch on, then you've got your intuition, your, dreams are wonderful. There's wonderful energy that can come from that. It's not all bad. I'm just pointing something out that, you know, when you get in trouble with that, that's what to look for. And I was so happy Tim Ryan, one of my favorites, I'll tell you, I followed him a long time. He won the primary in Ohio and you know, this guy, he will talk your head off on the specifics and mechanics of windmills, and and it's like, God bless him. He's practical, he needs it. We need people like this, okay? They're practical, they're sane, they have specific concrete plans. All right, let's give people like that a chance. All right, let's pick another card for our president and vice president. All right, all righty. Yeah, all right, all right, all right. Let's do this. We got like, I'm in. We've got Libra reversed. Okay, all right. So now we've got double Libra. That means we get the whole Libra energy. Okay. So that means there's some Libras in the group. They're going to be a little wishy-washy, a little bit like, well, okay, this is what you think. This is what you think. Oh, what are we going to do? Okay. So Libras can be ostrich head in the sand. Yeah, when they get out, when they're not in balance. Okay. This can also mean there are Libras who are ill. Libras are ill in the group when we get a reverse. So everybody help anybody sick in the group. Absolutely. Okay. But also it means let's stay in balance and let's use law. Let's, you know, whatever legal recourse we can to bring equality. That's the purpose of law, right? Is to balance the scales, to bring equality, to right wrongs. Okay. So that's all of that energy is going to help the country if we can have balanced, nuanced debate, right? It's about being fair. It's about having equality. And when we throw in Aries, we're going to fight for justice and all of this. But yeah, so I would say let's embrace that area to, so the Libra energy is going to really heal specifically president and vice president. Um, and that we definitely want to put healing energy out to any Libra that is not well, because think about it, that's law. We want anybody connected to that to be healthy, to do their job. But that balance. Okay, so let's do that. This is, I'm blown away by this. Oh, I often am. As if I buy this. Okay, so buy this spread. So I'm going to take photos. I'm going to put them up on my social media. You can check out my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram, and then my radio, Beacon of Light Radio. Uh, my producer, Ms. Falah Doreen, she puts it up on SoundCloud or something, so you can catch previous episodes on that. All right. Um, all right. Yeah, this is a lot going on. So I hope that was, yeah. So All right, embark together on a beautiful path to rejuvenation during this reflective and hopefully very regenerative Mercury retrograde. And until next time, yeah, I'm thinking of Russell Brand's catchphrase, but you know what? Maybe Betty Ford. I didn't quote. I don't know if this is a real Betty Ford quote, but Michelle Pfeiffer on this show, who she plays Betty Ford, and she says, "You can kick me out, but you can't make me what I'm not." Something like that. Maybe paraphrasing, but it's like, you know, that's kind of an Aries idea of like, and that's also very Taurus Aries of like, yeah, yeah. So we're all in this together, and let's rejuvenate. Let's actively rejuvenate and regenerate. Okay, until next time. Yeah, enjoy and embrace transformation.